Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Kavanaugh's Corner. Today in the show I'm going to be wrapping up this kind of impromptu Pixar month with a movie that is yet again very near and dear to my heart. It's the third out of 4 chapters in the Toy Story series, and that's of course Toy Story 3 here. This is yet again the Steelbook from Best Buy, and it's kind of a neat little thing because if I take that back off you can see lots of Hug and Bear, that rat he is. You can see him on the back, and it's actually kind of an interesting one because this is actually a 3-disc set. And this really surprised me. I was expecting this to be a 2-disc like the other ones, but this is actually a 3-disc set. So you have the 4K disc over here, and you have the movie on Blu-ray, and then you have an entire Blu-ray disc full of bonus features here. So that is actually really great, and that was a nice little thing. This also came with a digital copy as well. And I have to say, this is another fantastic release from Disney here. This is probably, honestly, of the three that I have on 4K. I do not have Toy Story 4 on 4K, but I'm hoping to pick it up soon. This is absolutely the best of the 3 so far in terms of looks, in terms of sound. This is a really, really great disc from Disney here. And honestly, this movie looks almost lifelike now at this point. I think in the series, the animation, once it gets to this film, is really at the point where things kind of look photoreal now. And it's amazing how far technology has come since the first film to this third one. And honestly, I absolutely love the look of this movie. I think this is an incredible film. Again, you know, this disc here, you know, the movie disc on 4K, I should say, has a totally new transfer. It's HDR10, and also there's a Dolby Atmos soundtrack. And one thing I have to say, the HDR10 on this, that high dynamic range, really transforms the look of this film. I mean, the Blu-ray itself, again, is no slouch. But that HDR10 transfer really makes it so black levels are much deeper. The movie does look darker at times because of that. But again, this is kind of the way the movie is supposed to look. Blacks are much truer. Shadow detail is very much more apparent in this version. And overall, I mean, just the detail level throughout the film is extraordinary. There's a great shot at one point of, you know, lots of Hug and Bear. There's like a close-up of him, and a couple times that happens throughout the film. But you could almost see like the furry material that he's made out of. It's really like scary how detailed this movie gets. And it's you know, again, it's a very, very incredible picture. This is kind of one of these movies where if you really want to show off like detail level in a film, this is one that you could put on and really, really show off like how, you know, brilliant that 4K picture can be, especially when that high dynamic range kicks in. It's a really fantastic transfer from Disney. And the Dolby Atmos soundtrack, yet again, was actually pretty good on this one. I didn't find it to be extremely quiet. I found it to be pretty acceptable. I did not have to turn it up very much. And there is actually a good amount of atmospheric effects in this one. Not extreme, but there are a couple moments where you can hear things kind of overhead. And it's used well. I think the audio on this is very crisp, very clear. I did not have to dial it up a lot. I did have to turn it up just a little bit, just a hair. But not to the point of some other Disney 4K discs where I had to really ramp the thing up like 10 notches. But it was very, very well done. I like the new soundtrack on this, and I think it really, you know, accompanies the film well. I thought it was pretty good. Other than that, you know, this one does contain, like I said, the 2 extra discs. So you have the movie on standard Blu-ray, and of course the bonus features. And the bonus features on this, there is a lot. There's a lot of stuff on this. Some stuff is kind of more focused towards kids, which is kind of a mystery to me, because this movie, I guess it kind of plays to kids, but this is when the Toy Story movies to me really began to focus on the adults or the kids that have grown up with Toy Story, because this movie really does have some really heavy tones to it, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But you know, there's some nice roundtable discussions with the director Lee Unkrich, who did a fantastic job directing this movie. Some stories from Pixar as well, and there's a lot of different things on this disc actually, but I like it. You know, I think the bonus disc does have a lot of stuff on there, and it's a nice little set from Best Buy here. Again, if you're into steel books, this is a real nice one. You can see him kind of climbing out of the box. It's a neat little thing. I like it. And overall, I just think this movie is worth owning on 4K in any version of the packaging, really. I mean, if you like steelbooks, you'll like this, but I'm not really a steelbook collector. I picked these up because they were really cheap, and it was actually cheaper than buying the standard editions at the time, so that's why I got these. But anyway, you know, I think this movie, honestly, of all the Pixar films, of the Toy Story films, this is the one that hits me the hardest on a personal level, because really, as I mentioned in the first video, you know, these movies are very near and dear to my heart, and this movie will kind of forever be the symbol of the death knell of my childhood. And really, like, that final scene where Andy says goodbye to Woody and Buzz is, you know, the so long partner scene. I get choked up just talking about it, honestly. And that scene will kind of always be like the goodbye to childhood moment. When this movie came out, I was actually in college already for a little while. And I think it was my freshman year, actually. So I was actually going into college right alongside Andy. And, and you know, sharing the namesake and everything else. When that moment happened in the theater, I went to go see this movie with my best friend, who is about 6 months older than I am. And I will tell you, when that moment happened on screen, there was not a dry eye in the house. I was crying like a baby. My best friend was blabbering. We were just a wreck. Everybody was a wreck. I actually saw this movie twice in theaters, which means I'm a masochist. And and I watched it again recently at home to do this review, and I cried all over again. But yeah, this movie really gets me in the feels, and it was a tough watch, honestly, because I knew what was going to happen when I rewatched this. But it is a phenomenal film, a very emotionally impactful film for me, at least. And really, I can't say enough about this 4K disc. That's enough about me. But again, if you share the sentiment, you know, obviously let me know in the comments. But seriously, though, this is a fabulous 4K disc from Disney. I highly recommend going out and get it if you actually do want to, you know, have it on your shelf and keep it, because again, as you know, probably is to many people, this is an important film to me, and it's an important series. And honestly, I'm looking forward to picking up the 4th series in the franchise soon, so I can review it for you guys as well. But that's pretty much it for Pixar month. Really, these guys, you know, out and working with Disney there, they really are magicians at what they do. They can take something, sometimes completely inanimate objects, and make them unforgettable characters. Sometimes they make fish into unforgettable characters. Sometimes they make monsters into unforgettable characters. And these are things that you just, again, you can't explain it. It's a magic that these people do. And honestly, my life will forever be changed by their actions, and I'm forever thankful for that. Even though they make me cry like a little baby, those guys, I'll tell you, they get me, man. They get me sometimes. But anyway, that's all for Pixar month here on Kavanaugh's Corner. Next week we'll have something completely different, so stay tuned. And until then, I wish you guys all the best. Please stay safe out there, and of course, take it easy.